to see the man condemned to die on Calvary. He was bleeding from a beating, there were stripes upon his back, and he wore a crown of thorns upon his head, and he bore with every step the scorn of those who cried out for his death. Down the Via Dolorosa, on the way of suffering, like a lamb came the Messiah, Christ the King, and he chose to walk that road out of his love for you and me. Down the Via Dolorosa, all the way to Calvary. The blood that would cleanse the souls of all men made its way through the heart of Jerusalem. Down the Via Dolorosa, on the way of suffering, like a lamb came the Messiah, Christ the King. Down the Via Dolorosa, on the way of suffering, like a lamb came the Messiah, Christ the King, and he chose to walk that road out of his love for you and me. Down the Via Dolorosa, all the way to Calvary, to Calvary, to Calvary, to Calvary, to Calvary.
Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel today. My name is David Woodbury, and I minister on this channel every Sunday. I'm pleased you've come along today. Each year, many Christians who visit the Holy Land choose to walk a deeply meaningful route known as the Via Dolorosa, or the Way of Sorrows, or the Way of Suffering. This ancient pathway marks the traditional route Jesus is believed to have taken through the streets of Jerusalem after his trial and condemnation. Beginning at the place where he was sentenced to death by the Roman governor Pontius Pilate, the journey traces his painful progress through the crowded city as he carried the cross towards his execution. The road ultimately leads to Golgotha, the place of crucifixion, now traditionally identified within the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. For pilgrims walking the Via Dolorosa, it is more than just a historical exercise. It is an act of devotion and an act of reflection, inviting believers to contemplate the suffering, obedience, and sacrificial love demonstrated by Jesus on his way to the cross.
Very early in the morning, the chief priests with the elders, the teachers of the law, and the whole Sanhedrin made their plans. So they bound Jesus, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate. "Are you the king of the Jews?" asked Pilate. "You have said so," Jesus replied. The chief priests accused him of many things. So again Pilate asked him, "Aren't you going to answer? See how many things they're accusing you of." But Jesus still made no reply, and Pilate was amazed. Now it was the custom of the festival to release a prisoner whom the people requested. A man called Barabbas was in prison with the rebels who had committed murder in the uprising. The crowd came up and asked Pilate to do for them what he usually did. "Do you want me to release to you the King of the Jews?" asked Pilate, knowing it was out of self-interest that the chief priests had handed Jesus over to him. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to get Pilate to release Barabbas instead. "What shall I do then with the one you call the King of the Jews?" Pilate asked them. "Crucify him," they shouted. "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him!" Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barabbas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed him over to be crucified. The soldiers led Jesus away into the palace, that is, the praetorium, and called together the whole company of soldiers. They put a purple robe on him, then twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on him. And they began to call out to him, "Hail, King of the Jews!" Again and again they struck him on the head with a staff and spat on him. Falling on their knees they paid homage to him, and when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe and put his own clothes on him. Then they led him out to crucify him.
On a number of occasions, both Paul and Peter in their epistles call us to share in Christ's suffering. And you may well ask, how exactly do I participate in that? There are times when Christians may find themselves called to walk what we might describe as their own Via Dolorosa, a personal pathway marked by sorrow, sacrifice, and suffering. Such experiences are not sought for pain itself, but embraced willingly as a means of drawing closer to the heart of Christ and gaining a deeper appreciation of his suffering, particularly on Good Friday. When individuals consciously choose to face hardship with faith rather than avoidance, the experience often reshapes their inner life in unexpected ways. Perspectives change, priorities are refined, and compassion deepens. Through seasons of struggle, believers may begin to perceive, even faintly, something of the costliness of Christ's love revealed that first Easter. These moments of suffering are not always directly connected to the Easter story, yet they can open profound spiritual insight, enabling us to understand more fully the weight of sacrifice, obedience, and the redeeming love demonstrated in Jesus' journey to the cross. Just over 30 years ago, I was asked by the Salvation Army to produce a series of short video documentaries to support its annual self-denial appeal. And this assignment took me to South Africa, where I had to travel alone to film and gather material. At that particular time, the communications department for which I was responsible was just being established, and it was still in its early stages, and staff and resources were extremely limited. As a result, I carried multiple responsibilities myself on this trip, serving as videographer, scriptwriter, and editor throughout the project. During the visit, one particular confronting experience involved filming at the Etambini Children's Home, a Salvation Army home caring for infants who were suffering from the disease of AIDS. It was during the early stages of the AIDS epidemic when medical treatment was scarce or almost unavailable. And many of these children, most of them babies, endured short and deeply distressing lives under compassionate but challenging circumstances. Although my visit to the home had already been confronting and emotionally demanding, I was unprepared for the profound effect that editing the footage would have on me. There is something about the editing process, especially with material of such human vulnerability, that draws the editor deeply into the story itself. One does not and cannot remain a detached observer. Instead, the experience becomes intensely personal. As I worked through the images and stories, I found myself emotionally and spiritually immersed, almost as though I were travelling my own Via Dolorosa, a personal way of sorrow. The weight of what I had witnessed gradually became completely overwhelming. In the end, I discovered that the only way I could complete the work was to return to the studio at headquarters on a quiet weekend when the building stood nearly empty, allowing space to process the emotional burden. I suspect that many Christians at some point in their spiritual pilgrimage encounter moments when they are invited to embrace such a sorrowful path, experiences that often even the faintest glimpse into the suffering endured by Christ on Good Friday. Consequently, there is a choice here. Either we accept the invitation to a personal Via Dolorosa, or we seek a way in which we can circumvent it. I suspect the late General Albert Osborne understood something of this experience when he wrote, "My life must be Christ's broken bread, I love his outpoured wine. A cup or filled a table spread beneath his name and sign, that other souls, refreshed and fed, may share his life through mine."
My life must be
I believe one of the challenges facing the Christian church today is that so much has been written, taught, and produced about the Christian life that it often becomes more academic than it is personal. We can easily know about faith and theory, study doctrines, read books, attend lectures, without truly experiencing what it means to follow Christ in the day-to-day realities of life. Because of this, I believe it is vital for believers to intentionally seek out circumstances and experiences that make authentic discipleship tangible and deeply personal. On this Good Friday, as we reflect on the Via Dolorosa, Christ's journey through the streets of Jerusalem carrying his cross, we are reminded that the Christian life does not begin with comfort or ease. It begins with the cross, with surrender, sacrifice, and obedience. To truly grasp what it means to follow Jesus, we must allow ourselves to walk, even metaphorically, through our own paths of challenge and sorrow, recognizing that the deepest lessons of faith are often learnt in the valleys of life, and not from a distance. As we take time today to reflect on the journey of Jesus, we are immediately struck by the depth and the intensity of his suffering. His path begins with condemnation from the religious leaders of his day, leaders who should have guided God's people, but instead chose rejection and hostility. From there, his suffering continues at the hands of soldiers, enduring physical abuse, ridicule, and humiliation. Every step of the way, the weight of the cross mirrors the weight of humanity's sin, pressing upon him both physically and spiritually. Ultimately, this journey culminates in the most brutal form of execution known in that era, crucifixion. In this moment, the full cost of obedience and sacrificial love is revealed, showing us that the path of redemption is never free of suffering. Yet it is through this very suffering that the world is offered salvation. There is a green hill far away without a city wall where the dear Lord was crucified, who died to save us all.
There is a green hill far away, without a city wall.
Now, the New Testament contains several passages that encourage believers to share in the sufferings of Jesus. Yet it is important that we clearly understand what the biblical writers intended by this teaching.
Must Jesus bear the cross alone, and all the world go free? No, there's a cross for everyone, and there's a cross for me. The consecrated cross I'll bear till He shall set me free, and then go home, my crown to wear, for there's a crown for me. Upon the crystal pavement at Jesus' pierced feet, with joy I'll cast my golden crown, and His dear name repeat. Now there's a cross for everyone, and there's a cross for
A personal Via Dolorosa is not something we deliberately pursue, but rather an experience that arises within life, and it calls for a conscious response. In such moments, we are faced with circumstances that invite us to share in the suffering of Jesus, reshaping how we understand pain and hardship. When we accept this personal journey, our struggles are no longer meaningless or accidental, but become occasions of deeper union with Christ, giving fresh significance to our spiritual lives. Choosing faithfulness, forgiveness, and obedience amid difficulty allows suffering to become a means of spiritual growth and transformation. As we share in Christ's suffering, we are drawn closer to Him, and what might otherwise feel like loneliness is transformed into a profound fellowship and communion.
A certain man from Cyrene, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing by on his way in from the country, and they forced him to carry the cross. They brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. Then they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him. Dividing up his clothes, they cast lots to see what each would get. It was 9 in the morning when they crucified him. The written notice of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." They crucified 2 rebels with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "So, you who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, come down from the cross and save yourself." In the same way the chief priests and the teachers of the law mocked him among themselves. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. Let this Messiah, this King of Israel, come down now from the cross, that we may see and believe." Those crucified with him also heaped insults on him. At noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And at 3 in the afternoon Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing near heard this, they said, "Listen, he's calling Elijah." Someone ran, filled a sponge with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to take him down," he said. With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in 2 from top to bottom. And when the centurion, who stood there in front of Jesus, saw how he died, he said, "Surely this man was the Son of God." Some women were watching from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James the younger and of Joseph, and Salome. In Galilee these women had followed him and cared for his needs. Many other women who had come up with him to Jerusalem were also there.
There are moments in life when Christ seems to invite us to walk our own Via Dolorosa. As I reflect on my experience in South Africa, I recognise that the situation carried a deep and unmistakable spiritual weight. I was not seeking hardship or a journey marked by sorrow, yet it presented itself unexpectedly and placed before me a personal choice. In that moment, much like Simon of Cyrene, I found myself drawn into the suffering and burdens of others. I somehow felt as though Christ himself was extending an invitation to me. This is the road of my suffering. Will you walk it with me? It may well be that, like Simon of Cyrene, we do not always enter this journey willingly, and that's entirely human. The path Jesus himself walked was preceded by his struggle in the Garden of Gethsemane, where he wrestled honestly with the suffering set before him and questioned the cup he was called to bear. His hesitation reminds us that uncertainty and reluctance are not signs of weak faith, but part of genuine obedience. While the Christian life holds the promise of deep joy and fulfillment, as Christ assured his followers, authentic discipleship also carries a cost. Jesus lived in a world where crucifixion was a familiar and terrifying reality. He understood fully what awaited him long before he reached the cross. In the same way, when we accept our own personal Via Dolorosa, we are called to do so thoughtfully and honestly, with our eyes open to both the sacrifice and the transformation that will lie along the journey. Now, this personal Via Dolorosa differs from any ordinary journey we may travel, for along this road of sorrow with Christ, discipleship becomes profoundly personal and deeply intimate. It is no longer simply a matter of belief or religious practice, but a lived relationship shaped through experience. In such moments, discipleship is expressed through caring for the wounded, confronting injustice, bearing the emotional burdens of others, and remaining present where suffering cannot be ignored or avoided. Faith moves beyond abstraction and begins to reshape the whole of our life. Superficial belief is gradually stripped away, compassion grows deeper, and within us awakens the self-giving love that reflects the very heart of Jesus Christ. Through these experiences, we come to understand, not merely with the mind, but within the spirit, something of the true cost of redeeming love revealed in the suffering of Jesus that Good Friday.
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss, and for contempt all my pride, and for contempt all my pride. For it is, Lord, that I should boast, save in the death of Christ my God. All the vain things that charm me most, I sacrificed them to his blood. I sacrificed them to his blood. See from his head, his hands, his feet, sorrow and love flow mingled down. Here there's such love and sorrow meet, or forms compose so rich a crown. All thorns compose
The Via Dolorosa is never the final destination, as the Easter story so powerfully reminds us. The way of sorrow ultimately becomes the way of joy because it leads beyond suffering to redemption and a new life. When we freely and thoughtfully step onto this path, subtle yet profound changes begin to occur in us. Transformation often happens quietly, almost imperceptibly, as experience reshapes something within our inner life. Much like a person who enters an editing room carrying raw and unformed footage and emerges changed with a completed and meaningful story, the one who walks the road of sorrow can never leave unchanged. The journey may be emotionally demanding and even deeply painful, yet within that strain a secret formation takes place. Character is refined, vision is clarified, and faith is deepened. It becomes inevitable that those who choose this path will be transformed. What appears as a burden gradually reveals itself as grace, and what seems to be a loss becomes the doorway to a richer, deeper experience. Good Friday confronts every believer with a deeply personal decision. Will we remain observers of Christ's suffering, honouring him at a distance, or will we choose to walk beside him along the difficult road he travelled? The invitation of Jesus is unchanged. Follow me. This call extends beyond moments of celebration and praise, beyond the joy of Palm Sunday, into the costly path of faithful discipleship symbolised by the Via Dolorosa. To follow Christ means embracing both triumph and sacrifice, trusting that the road marked by sorrow is not one of defeat. When walked in companionship with him, the way of suffering ultimately leads beyond the cross to renewal, hope, and the transforming promise of resurrection life. Lo, a new creation dawning, lo, I rise to life divine. In my soul, an Easter morning, I am Christ's, and Christ is mine.